Order! Order! You are an incorrigible delinquent at times. Behave yourself, man!
David's in Crawley. David, what would you like to say?
Morning, James. It's there was nothing wrong with what they did. It went wrong.
Yes, exactly.
When you look at the father and you hear the father, he was genuinely he was not mortified, but he was sorry for what he did.
He wasn't he? I mean, absolutely terrified.
It wasn't an intentional thing. It wasn't. He had no sort of long-term plans of doing anything nasty. The problem here in the UK is there is so much political correctness in this day and age.
Don't spoil it, mate. Don't spoil it.
I'm not, but I'm just saying...
Okay, tell me what that means then.
There will be far more that see him doing it as doing it wrong.
But why do you have to use that silly phrase that means nothing?
What do you mean?
Why is it political correctness to say I don't approve of people leaving their children alone in the woods? It's a perfectly reasonable position. It's just as reasonable as yours saying that I do approve. I do think it's a good idea. Why do you have to bring that stupid phrase into it?
Well, there are a lot of people that are politically correct.
But you don't even know what you mean when you use. You don't know what you mean when you use that phrase.
Well, how many people will phone in and say there's nothing wrong with what he did? The majority will phone in.
No, they won't. It's 50-50, mate. The presenter's saying there's nothing wrong with it. Everyone who uses the phrase political correctness automatically loses all credibility.
No, so that's a fair point.
Doesn't mean anything. It means absolutely nothing. It's just a pointless insult that's used to describe people who you disagree with. Why can't you just say, I disagree with them? You don't have to insult them with a meaningless phrase like political correctness. Do you know what political correctness means in the context of the last 20 years in this country?
Yeah, you know what? A lot of things have changed.
Good manners. Good manners, David, is what it means. Oh, it's political correctness gone mad. You can't be rude about black people. Oh, it's political correctness gone mad. You can't be rude about brown people. You can't be rude about women. You can't be rude about other people's sexuality. It's political correctness gone mad. How can it be political correctness to say I'm not actually that comfortable with the idea of a 7-year-old kid being left alone in a woods full of bears?
No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm on the side of the father for...
No, I know you are, but you're saying the people on the other side who aren't comfortable with a 7-year-old child being left defenceless and alone in a woods full of bears are somehow politically correct. It's not your fault. You've just pushed one of my buttons. Pardon? What
other term would you use?
Possessed of an opinion different from mine, David.
Fair one.
Don't ever say the phrase political correctness again.
All right.
Thank you. Now, where were we?
Right. In mine, similar to Richard Branson's.
Yes.
My mother dropped me off. I was fighting with my brother in the back of the car many years ago in the mid-60s, and she told me to get out the car, and she drove off. It was down a dirt road in the middle of nowhere, and I knew that my father... This was in Rhodesia in those days, and I knew that my father was at a rifle range about 9 miles away.
So you struck out for the rifle range?
Yes, but I had to cut across a bit of bush and in the middle of nowhere to get to the rifle range. And literally a minute after, not even a minute after my mother dropped me off, I'd pushed off, ran through the bush, and I'd hashed it up, and I hadn't taken the correct bearing to get to him.
So you got lost.
Anyway, cut a long story short, got lost, and...
No, but you don't have to cut a long story short. You can take as long as you want, because you've got an unexpected brutalising for the employment of the phrase political correctness, and it's probably a little unfair. So you fill your boots. Take all the time you want, David.
That was just my way to say. Anyway, so my mother had come back, and obviously I wasn't there, but I ended up spending the night out. And like I said, it was at a rifle range. There was about 30 men there practicing. It was during the sort of war days, leading up to the war days. So there obviously was a lot of concern, but there was not so much concern for the baddies running around. It was the area had leopard, hyena, etc., etc. So the concern was more for that.
Yes.
So I spent the night, and I was 6 years old, spent the night in a tree, came down. They had about 40 policemen come through the area, and anyway, the next morning they found me. It was about 4 o'clock in the morning.
Love it.
and that was it. But
and have you gone on? Have you gone on to a life of epic success, and not in material terms necessarily, but do you feel that helped make you the man you are today?
I think so. It was just what I was brought up in a society where we got caned at school. Don't
spoil it again. Don't spoil it again, David. It's a good story. You don't have to start encouraging the brutalisation of innocent children.
I still got a hiding from my mother for doing it the following morning. So
it's lose-lose for you.
Brought up.
It's lose-lose. You spent the night in the tree and you got battered by your mum the next day.
Correct.
Now, let me just by way of an affectionate farewell, let me explain why I went off on one about political correctness. How stupid would it sound now if I described what the story you've just said as evidence of your family being politically incorrect?
I hear where you come from, James. I do hear where you come from. It was just a figure of speech.
No, but it isn't just a figure of speech. It's a massive piece of camouflage that really stupid people use to describe really bad behaviour. And when people like you, who are neither stupid nor describing bad behaviour, fall into the trap of thinking it means something, the whole debate gets diluted. What's it like sleeping in a tree?
I just watched the father talk, and like I said, he was genuinely sorry.
Yeah, exactly. No, I'm with you. We're on the same side. We're on the same side. And what's that phrase? What's the phrase you're never going to use again?
Politically correct.
One at a time.